The story begins with a voice whispering to the audience. You think strength is only in muscles. Or in the loud roar of engines. Wait until you see what true courage looks like. Because on one quiet afternoon, a group of bikers thought they had found an easy target, a disabled woman veteran. But 20 minutes later, the last people they ever expected walked into that parking lot. And what happened after, no one ever forgot. Sarah Mitchell was not someone you'd notice right away in a crowd. A wheelchair carried her slender frame, and though her body bore scars from war, her eyes told a deeper story, one of resilience, pain, and unshakable dignity. She had served as a combat medic in Afghanistan, patching up soldiers in the dust and chaos of battle. But an IED blast had taken her mobility. Still, she carried herself with quiet pride, living independently in a small town where everyone knew her simply as Miss Sarah. On this particular day, Sarah rolled her chair into the parking lot of a diner she often visited. The autumn breeze brushed against her hair as she carried a small grocery bag on her lap. She wasn't looking for trouble. But trouble, sometimes, comes uninvited. The rumble of engines broke the calm. 4 bikers, leather vests marked with the insignia of a local gang, pulled into the lot. They weren't just regular riders, they thrived on intimidation, their presence turning heads wherever they went. They spotted Sarah instantly. To them, she looked vulnerable. A lone woman in a wheelchair, quiet, unarmed. Easy prey. One of them, a burly man with tattoos crawling up his neck, sneered, "Well, look what we got here. Soldier girl can't even stand on her own 2 feet. Another chuckled cruelly, circling around her. "Hey sweetheart, how about you let us give you a ride? Oh wait, you can't even climb on a bike, can you?" The group laughed loudly, their mockery echoing across the lot. Sarah remained calm, her hands steady on her chair wheels. She didn't flinch, didn't lower her gaze. Instead, she looked straight at them and said softly, "I've faced worse than you." Her calmness only fueled their cruelty. The leader grabbed the bag from her lap, spilling groceries onto the asphalt. A can rolled under a car. Bread landed in a dirty puddle. Sarah's chest tightened with anger, not for herself, but for the dignity they were trying to rip from her. She had bled for her country, seen friends die beside her, and yet here she was, being mocked by men who had never faced true battle. "Pick it up," she said firmly. "Now." The biker leaned down close to her face, his breath sour with beer. "Or what, soldier girl? What are you gonna do from down there?" Instead, she reached into her pocket, pulled out her phone, and dialed a number she hadn't called in months. The voice on the other end answered with one word, "Doc." Her lips trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "Yeah, it's Sarah. I need some backup. Where are you?" She gave the name of the diner. No more words were exchanged. The call ended. The bikers laughed again, thinking she was bluffing. "What's that, calling 911? Think the cops are gonna save you? We'll be gone before they show up." Sarah only whispered to herself, "They're not cops." Minutes ticked by like hours. The bikers continued circling, taunting, occasionally shoving her chair just to watch it roll. Some bystanders inside the diner watched uneasily through the windows, but no one dared to come out. One elderly man whispered, "That woman, she's a veteran. Someone should do something." But fear held them back. Sarah, however, sat unbroken. Every second that passed reminded her of the bond she once had with her brothers in arms. They had promised her, no matter the scars, no matter the distance, she was never alone. The sound of engines filled the air again, but these weren't the ragged roars of gang bikes. This was precise, powerful, disciplined. 2 black SUVs rolled into the lot, moving in perfect formation. Doors swung open, and out stepped men dressed in civilian clothes but carrying themselves with unmistakable authority. Broad shoulders, sharp eyes, and a presence that silenced the air. Navy SEALs. Sarah's old unit brothers. The bikers straightened nervously as the men approached. There were 6 of them, each radiating quiet power. They didn't need weapons to intimidate, their very stance was enough. One of them, a tall man named Marcus, the same voice Sarah had spoken to on the phone, stepped forward. His eyes locked on the leader of the bikers. "You've got 2 choices," Marcus said calmly. "Pick up her groceries, apologize, and ride out of here. Or stay, and we'll see how tough you are without your engines and leather jackets." The leader tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked. "You think you can just walk in here? Before he could finish, another SEAL stepped forward, his gaze cold. Try us. The tension was electric. Bystanders pressed against the diner windows, whispering, their phones recording. The bikers hesitated. Their bravado was fading fast under the weight of 6 men who had stared down death in foreign lands. Finally, the leader bent down, picked up the scattered groceries, and placed them gently back in Sarah's lap. His hands shook slightly. Sorry, ma'am. Sarah didn't smile. She simply nodded. Now you know what respect looks like. The bikers mounted their bikes and rode off, their engines sounding more like retreat than triumph. Once they were gone, Marcus knelt beside Sarah's chair. His voice softened. Doc, you okay? Her eyes welled with tears, but she nodded. I didn't call because I was scared. I called because I needed you to remind me that I'm not alone. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. Never. You'll always have us. Always. For the first time that day, Sarah allowed herself to smile. The bystanders slowly emerged, some applauding quietly. One young woman approached Sarah, her voice trembling. I didn't do anything to help. I'm sorry. But you're incredible. Sarah looked at her gently. Courage doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes it just means standing up. Next time, don't watch, act. The story closes with Sarah rolling back toward the diner, flanked by her brothers in arms. She wasn't just a disabled veteran anymore. She was a living reminder that true strength comes not from walking on 2 legs, but from standing firm in spirit. The narrator's voice fades in. Respect the quiet warriors you pass every day. Because sometimes, the ones who seem the weakest, have the strongest armies behind them.